you've been, I don't know, setting us up just about substitutions, finding the best 22 and stuff like that. But 3 games in, I'm going to tell you, you're freaking people out by substituting early for guys like Kenneth Murray. I mean, I know you don't care about all that stuff, but I mean, could you just kind of talk to like what you've said it before, but just kind of your thinking on what that does to put someone like Brian Meade in that situation?
Yeah, I think there's a number of things to it. Number one, there's only one true way to develop depth, and it's developing guys under the lights, on the stage, in the moment, and it's hard to manufacture those reps in practice. That's a piece of it, and then the next side of it is everybody's a better football player. Our sport is this way. Playing 40 snaps as opposed to 80 snaps. It just the rep count has impact, and not every sport is that way. Get more bats in baseball, then you have a tendency to from an improvement standpoint. But in ours, it's just simply not that way. And so we want max reps. We want elite reps, and we want guys feeling like survival on game days is not the ultimate aim. It's to play at a high level and to focus on effort, execution on every single rep. And so, in any event, that's kind of how we built this thing in our past. And so, the biggest thing is you can't the drop off can't be any greater than we're willing to kind of be accepting of, and a lot of it stems from production. If they got to earn the right over the course of the week, and basically we have a meeting every Thursday and say and develop a rep count for every single guy. Does it go that way every single week exactly how we draw it up? No, the opponent has a vote. The way the game goes, can dictate some of those things. But we want to play more than less, and we'd rather leave the game and say we rotated too much than not enough. And so we'll continue to do so as long as these guys earn the right over the course of practice. And through 3 games, you're going to see some guys that got in week 1 that didn't get in week 3 because it has everything to do with Monday through Thursday.
Alex, you held them to 311 yards. Now that you've seen it, was it a pretty good night for you?
Well, I think it was. Ultimately, you want no yards, you want no points, and the 7 points in the first half. I think we had a real opportunity to keep them out of the end zone. We're unable to do that, and I thought the drive in the third quarter, obviously, you would circle that being the most disappointing drive of the game, and give them credit. Obviously, they're conspiring against us just as we do against them, but some self-inflicted wounds on that drive, and there was other ones that I thought we did a tremendous job of bowing our necks and sticking our foot in the ground and making sure that one bad play doesn't turn into 2 and on down the line. So certainly there's some positives. I thought also handling. This was a power run game. A bunch of tight ends in their previous weeks, and we saw a little bit different game plan. So I thought our guys, in a lot of ways, got to give them credit for handling that and kind of trusting some of our rules and those things. So in any event, more positives than negatives, but certainly a lot of work on.
In the preseason, you talked about instilling a mentality and instilling confidence. Now, after 3 games, do you sense that that's a real thing now, that it's manifested itself in on-field play?
I think it's tangible, and I think, to your point, you can only do it on game day. You can talk about it. You can get a sense after a Tuesday in the spring kind of progress, saying, as we practice 7 at fall camp, just a random practice in fall camp. You can leave the facility that night and feel like you're making progress, but is it going to show on game day? And I made the point the other night that it really is a consistent one-game evaluation as you go through a season. And the offense changes that you compete against. Your team has a tendency to change based on depth, based on knock on wood, not injuries, but that's an element to our game. And the flow of the game in terms of what our offense is doing versus, are we, protecting leads, are you battling and all that stuff. So in any event, all those moments create opportunities, and those opportunities can certainly lead to more tangible progress. And so we're going to, hopefully take advantage of those as we go. And so 3 weeks in, we're having an opportunity to be 3-0 with a lot of work yet to be done.
You're talking about developing depth on the defensive line. How pleased were you with that depth as it's developing now?
Well, I think it is. I think, from a rotation standpoint, that's the one we're rotating the most at. And I think you see some young guys getting work. Continue to be impressed with Marcus Stripling. And sometimes too, especially in the front, it doesn't always show up in the stat book in terms of TFLs and sacks. Certainly can't 4 sacks the other night, 6 TFLs. And I'm a TFL freak, and so I get frustrated with that thing that could be a -1 and ended up being a 0-yard gain. Drives me nuts. And so in any event, there's some more opportunities for those if you take the extra step on the tackle and some of those things. But obviously it's 11 pieces playing together to help those guys up front so that they can get home. So coverage got to hold up in those things. But I've been pleased, and every week again, you see different offenses, different challenges, how people attack you. But the consistent thing is you've seen Oklahoma defensive players in the backfield of our opponents, and so that's something that's got to continue. And it's not just continue, but it also that number's got to go up.
Lincoln said the defensive line was violent and active. That helps the TFLs, doesn't it?
Well, it does. I mean, that's certainly the starting point. And then, what we got to do is, I think, from an expectation standpoint, is we got to expect to be back there. I think, and what happens is you click a heel and the guy falls forward for a yard. And again, that's nitpicking. Believe me, we got bigger issues than that 1 yard I'm describing. But in any event, what that yard or that 2 yards, a 2nd and 8 versus a 2nd and 8 versus a 2nd and 12, a 2nd and 10 versus a 2nd and 7, a 3rd and 12 as opposed to a 3rd and 9. It changes things. And so in any event, we got to take advantage of those opportunities that we have in the backfield. But no, I think it's been through 3 games. I think you're seeing certainly a snapshot of what we can be up front.
I know even back in the spring, you're talking about how thin you are, especially at the safety position. How after kind of looking at things, how did that position play out for you Saturday?
Well, I think once again I talk about kind of the depth has not been, and again I coach them, so this is on me. I got to do a better job, but like more numbers in that room competing for playing time on Saturdays. And again, that goes back to, we want to play more. You could never accuse us of not wanting to play more guys. Kind of to our initial comments this evening but we got to produce on where I see you make that play on Monday. I got to see you make that play on Tuesday. Not just get lined up, but that's obviously a good starting point. And so in any event, if we got to shuffle a deck, we may look at some things in terms of who those guys might be, but. In any event, I think Pat Fields and DeLaren, for the most part, have played good football. Probably playing too much football, as we go through it. And so we got to continue to work to develop some depth behind them.